All right. So I got this new concept. Okay. I'm working on this new concept. And it has to do with the three dimensions of our being. Okay. There's our thinking, our thoughts, our feelings, and there's our actions. Okay. So you got your head, your heart, and your hand. Okay. So those are the three dimensions of our being. And when we have a problem in life, when we feel conflicted, when we don't know what we're doing, okay, those three things are not lined up. I guarantee it. Our thoughts, beliefs, our feelings, and our actions are they're not together. Okay? When they're together, there's no problem. Okay? So how do we get them together? Okay? Well, in the previous video, I talked about the key to all spiritual growth. And that key is objective self-examination. Okay? So what we do with this key is we use objective self-examination, the key, to open doors. And on the other side of these doors is wisdom. And this wisdom will help us to line up our head, heart, and our hand. Okay? So there's many different doors. There's many different doors. And the doors exist within the three dimensions of our beings. So there's thinking doors, head doors, there's feeling doors, heart doors, and there's action doors, hand doors, okay? So we're going to look at maybe 6 of them, even though there's way more than 6. I'm drinking bubble water and I'm burping. We're gonna look at 6, okay? And they're going to be in each dimension of our being, okay? So let's start with the mind, okay? Boom, top down. So we kind of talked about it in a previous video, but one door that can give us insight into an issue or into some type of behavior that we want to change is the 12 steps, okay? And the 12 steps, they're a mind door, meaning that you have to contemplate something. You have to examine yourself and contemplate certain information, certain things within the 12 steps to get the wisdom to change a specific focused behavior. So like if you have a drinking problem, you go to Alcoholics Anonymous, use the formula of the 12 steps, examine yourself according to what the steps say to get the insight and the wisdom to hopefully allow you to stop drinking. Or if you have like a spending problem, you go to Debtors Anonymous, it's the same thing, or Overeaters Anonymous, it's the same thing, or Sexaholics Anonymous, or whatever, it's the same thing. NA, Narcotics Anonymous, it's the same thing. You're focusing on one specific behavior, and you have to examine yourself within the framework of their formula, and I kind of talked about that in the previous video, to get the insight, to get your head, heart, and hand lined up so you can quit drinking, okay? Now, the head, heart, and hand, I didn't say this earlier, but when they're not lined up, that's because there's some unconscious beliefs or some undeveloped parts of ourselves that are working against us, okay? They're not allowing us to line like things up. Like if we were abused as children and we have this unconscious belief that we're not good enough and we're not worthy of love, right? But we want to be loved. See, there's some conflict there. And so the unconscious belief has to be brought up, some way. So like maybe that expresses itself with codependent relationships. So you'll have to go to a 12-step program like maybe ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics, because that deals with codependency or something, and then get the insight into that unconscious belief so you can change it. See, it's not helping you line up your 3 and then move on. You see what I'm saying? So all of this stuff we're talking about is dealing with our unconscious stuff, our unconscious beliefs. Okay, so the 12 steps within the mind dimension is one way that we can examine ourselves. It's a formula we use to examine ourselves to get insight into changing a specific behavior. Okay, that's one dimension. Okay, another dimension or another doorway, within the mental dimension is, I hate to say it, but it is religion. Okay, now religion, if used properly, offers us truths. Okay, the Bible contains truths about life. It contains principles about living, and it contains truths and principles about living better. Okay, so if we choose to use religion or the Bible as a method for us to examine ourselves and apply the truths and principles contained therein to ourselves, we can gain insights into being a better person. Okay? That's one doorway that many people use, and it helps. It helps people change and be better. Not every doorway is for every person, and not every doorway is for every person right now. Understanding that all doorways take us to the same place, but depending on where we are in our personal growth, has an impact. It makes a difference, and certain doorways we have to take at certain times. Okay, so this channel and the content of this channel is all about integrating ourselves, and integrating things in the world. Okay, so I'm all about looking at all the different things and making them all the same. Okay, that's what I'm all about. This is what this is all about. So anyways, having said that, going back to the doorway. So within the mind, we've looked at the 12-step formula. We've looked at religion. Okay, we're going to look at, now we're going to segue, make our way kind of into the feelings, but we're going to still be in the mind. Meditation. Boom, meditation. Now, there's a lot of different forms of meditation, and they have a lot of different purposes. As far as I know, observing the thoughts in your mind, and sometimes that can be tricky, and that can be tricky to learn, but that is a great mental doorway exercise, a mental exercise, a doorway that allows us to gain insight into how we are as people, okay? Which can help us change and better ourselves, better our lives, and get a better behavior, right? So taking the time to just examine our thoughts and watch our thoughts, objective self-examination, watching the thoughts, that can give us a lot of wisdom, okay, into ourselves, into the true nature of ourselves. Now, there's a way to do that, okay? So this is getting into body, but it's still mind. The technique of samadhi meditation, okay, which is observing the normal, natural nose breaths, okay? Now, that's more body because we're dealing with the actual physical body and we're observing the actual physical body, but it's still mind, because when we start to observe the nose breaths, we see that we can't really hold our attention there for very long, right? So we see that our mind wanders away. So we gain insight into our mind. The nature of our mind is to wander away. So that's a very good exercise for the mind, but it's also a very good exercise, and we're segueing into the body, because picking one spot on the body allows us to see that, oh, there's actually sensations there. As the respiration goes in and interacts with this part here and in the nostrils, we see that if we can sustain the attention there for long enough periods of time, that there's sensations there. And we're observing the sensations that are occurring in this spot of our body, right? So now we've made our way into body observation, all right? So in terms of mental observation, objective observation in the mental realm, meditation, I'm sorry, 12-step programs, religion, and certain types of meditation, they're all good. They're all good for that type of stuff. But as we get into the body, we're actually just observing the body. We're just observing the body as it is. And one component of the body is the breath. The mind is a component of the body, but the mind is its own thing. Okay? So now we're in the body. Now, as far as I know, Samadhi meditation goes with Vipassana meditation. And as far as I know, Vipassana meditation is really the only form of meditation that is worth doing. Because what it is observing the sensations on every part of the body. Okay? So, see, we've kind of entered a new dimension that most people don't know about and don't get into. It's that you can observe your thoughts and you can try to find the way out of your thoughts all day long, and you can observe the beliefs that are motivating behaviors, and you can solve your issues that way. But once you start looking at the physical body, okay, like I said earlier, not every doorway, because this is a doorway. Vipassana meditation, Samadhi meditation is it's its own doorway. It's not for everybody right now. It's for certain people for certain times in their growth, in their journeys, right? So, but when you start looking at the body, observing the body as it is, as a body, right? You gain a lot of insight and a lot of wisdom that can help you to align your head, heart, and your hand. Boom. Right? So, in terms of the body, Samatha meditation, Samadhi meditation, it's the same thing. And Vipassana meditation, as far as I know, are some of the best exercises because they deal with direct self-observation, objective observation of self directly by looking at each part of the body. What's happening on each part of the body, okay? So, in terms of body, those are the only two that I know that I would put any stake or stock in, okay? So, we've looked at specific issues within the mind. We've looked at ways to better our mind. We've looked at our mind. Now we've looked at our breath and our body. Now we're going to kind of take a step out, right? All this stuff is supposed to bring our unconscious stuff out. And it all does. It all does. So, in terms of acting, okay, when we do something, when we pick a goal, when we work towards achieving that goal and we don't quit, even when it's hard, we're exercising this thing called integrity. And integrity can be really challenging sometimes. But what integrity does is it brings out all of our stuff. Like if you got a goal to run a marathon and you just don't feel like running and you just quit running, you quit practicing or following your training plan, you're not going to run the marathon because you're not practicing integrity. But if you stick with it, even though you don't want to do it, all this mental resistance is going to come up and say, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do this, but you do it anyway. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about the things you do. If you got a lot of crazy unconscious beliefs and they're driving your behaviors and you're out living your life, you're making a mess of it. If you apply objective self-examination to what you're doing, you're going to see that and you're going to learn from your mistakes, hopefully. And you're going to be able to realize, oh, I'm not in alignment. Boom. Let's bring it together. So having goals and doing stuff is super important. If you just sit inside your house all day long binge watching Netflix or whatever, you're not going to get there. You got to step outside your door. You got to go to school, get a job. You know, you got to sign up for that that race, or you gotta try to make that thing. You gotta do stuff, and doing stuff is good because it allows you to look at that unconscious stuff. Okay, so we've looked at working towards our goals, doing stuff in life. Okay, real important. Meditating. Okay, meditation is really good, and I really strongly suggest starting with just observing the natural, normal nose breaths. I don't know, 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. We've looked at meditation, and the best way to learn Vipassana meditation, if you're interested in that, is by going to a 10-day Vipassana course that's taught by S.N. Goenka. But just start with the nose breaths. So we're doing goals, we're doing meditation. Maybe if you're there, reading your Bible, seeing what that contains for you, seeing if there's any truths there that you can apply to yourself to try to make your life better. If not, hey, there's always just watching your mind. That's another form of meditation. But anyways, there's always that 12-step program if you got a problem you want to change, So anyways, not quite 6, but hopefully that helped and worked and made sense. So I don't know, I've been really struggling with this video. But look for the head, heart, and hand formula. I'm working on that. This is a new concept. It's going to be awesome. So till next time.